The White House is asking Congress for $48 billion. Yeah, that's billion with a B. $38 billion of that request is for additional Ukraine aid, with an extra $10 billion tacked on for winter COVID funding. Not to mention the massive spending bill Congress is trying to pass before a potential government shutdown in December. But in light of record inflation and a looming recession, can we really afford this nonstop federal spending? And is there anything the new House GOP majority can do about it? Joining me now, California Republican Congressman on the House Judiciary Committee, Tom McClintock. Tom, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Now, what can Congress do about it? They've got a slim majority, and do you see action?
Well, obviously, in the new majority, starting January 3rd, the House is where all spending bills start. The federal government cannot spend a single dollar unless the House says it can spend that dollar. So the words "just say no" come to mind.
Yeah, well, okay, so a couple of the things. The two of the big spending in that $48 billion, you've got Ukraine aid and you've got COVID, another $10 billion for COVID. I mean, I'm wondering, I think Republicans caved too much on the Ukraine funding because they've been shoveling money over there. They also caved on COVID. Are they going to get a spine and try to stop the flow of money?
Well, I supported the initial assistance to Ukraine because I felt if they could defeat Russia or at least inflict massive damage on Russia, that would cause other dictators around the world to think twice before attacking their neighbors. But of course, we've done that now. Ukraine is primarily a European security issue. Now, you look at the numbers, the United States has given about $54 billion of assistance to Ukraine through October 3rd. I think it's over $60 billion now. The EU had given only $16 billion. So they've got about half of our GDP, but they've only given about a third of the assistance that we have. Now, given the fact that's happening right on their doorstep, not on ours, it seems to me they need to at least match what we've already done. So that would be my first condition. And then I also believe there needs to be a full audit of where our money has gone. And we need assurance that Ukraine's relationship with FTX is entirely legitimate, as Ukraine contends. And I think the American people would also like to be assured that the millions of dollars that were paid to the Biden family by Ukraine over the years isn't influencing our foreign policy. So I, for one, would not vote for another dime until those conditions are met. And the same thing applies to the COVID.
Yeah,
First,
how about the COVID?
Any more COVID funding's got to come with an ironclad prohibition against the mandates and the closures and the other coercive policies that have caused so much damage to people's lives and livelihoods. And I think there also needs to be a full and truthful disclosure of the actual efficacy and risks of the vaccine.
Absolutely. And now, when I was a kid in junior high, I learned, just like you said, Congress makes the rules. The president only has the power to sign a law or veto a law. But increasingly, we're living our lives under this umbrella of executive orders. What can Congress do about that? How can we reduce the power of the executive branch to just willy-nilly basically make laws and make declarations and say, oh, I'm just doing this because it's an emergency?
Well, again, Congress does have the power of the purse and can cut off funds for any of those questionable acts of the executive. And I think there's a growing consensus that we need to. The separation of powers is at the heart of our Constitution. That is the mechanism that protects our freedom. The president enforces law, but he cannot make it. Congress makes law, but cannot enforce it. Congress appropriates funds, but can't spend them. The president spends funds, but can't appropriate them. These are fundamental tenets of good governance that date back to Magna Carta. And they've been all blurred together. Madison, the father of the Constitution, said that when you combine the powers of the legislative and the executive and the judiciary in the same hands, you have a formula for tyranny. And that is what this modern executive power is starting to create.
Congressman McClintock, you see I got a big smile on my face because you remind me of my 8th grade social studies teacher, Mr. Shinnick. Thanks so much, Congressman.
I take that as a very high compliment. Thank you.